Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to Stream Islam channel. Today, myself, your host, Abu Ibrahim Silva from Miss Education Forum. I'm happy to host you guys today with a very special guest, our esteemed Sheikh, Dr. Muhammad Al-Akas. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Welcome.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. أهلا وسهلا.
Allah yahfaduka. How is Ramadan, Sheikh?
Beautiful.
May Allah bless you. Barakallah.
Alhamdulillah.
We're blessed to have with us today Sheikh Dr. Muhammad Abdullahi Al-Akkas, an expert. I see him as a mentor, as a role model, and someone to be followed in his footsteps in terms of his dawah effort throughout the years, and especially in the early 90s, during the Gulf War, where the Sheikh had a significant impact in the da'wah scene back in the in the Mamlaka, Saudi Arabia. The Sheikh was the founder and director of the Islamic Cultural Center in Dammam. As well, he designed and directed and was instrumental in the Saudi Arabia Cultural Awareness Program for the American Armed Force during the Gulf War, which resulted by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in more than 7,500 of them embracing Islam. Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. Ahlan wa sahlan.
أهلا وسهلا بكم يا أخي.
Barakallah fiqh. So, Sheikh, could you please dwell into the historical dawah event that unfolded in the Mamlaka during the Gulf War, in particular at the American troops?
Yeah, Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam ala Rasulullah. When the Gulf War problem took place, hundreds of thousands of American troops came to Arabia. And they started at the King Abdulaziz Air Base as the first location. Now, before the war, I was doing some cooperation with the religious affairs in the base. And so it was automatically that we together work on this dawah of the Americans.
No, mashallah. So, how was their first impression landing in a country where they maybe most likely, if depending on the Western common perception of the Muslim countries, they look at it maybe, from what they heard based upon all the propaganda that usually occurs in the West about the Muslim land, a backward country, a bunch of radical. What can we learn from these people? How was their first account when they started to interact with the locals?
First, as they came in, they thought they are coming to a group of Bedouins riding camels in the middle of the desert and nomads. No industry, no education, no modern civilization at all. But they came with the warning, or the Americans told them to stay away from us and not to indulge in any religious or political discussion. So they were on guard. But at the same time, in the West, the media was stirring lots of noise as how come we, democratic country, this is in America especially, democratic country going to Arabia to defend what do you call it, a monarch, a dictatorship. And so with that in the background, we designed our approach to do dawah amongst them.
Oh, that's unique because myself and many other brothers, we've been engaged in this kind of dawah. We might even call it a passive approach, where we discuss with the non-Muslims and share with them the Islamic way of life in a very indirect and more from an educational perspective. And apparently, this was somehow designed by people like yourself, and you guys were pioneers in this field on how to educate people through the Islamic culture about the Islamic faith.
Yeah, bearing in mind the background, you see, when you want to make a solution, first you have to study the situation, and you kind of make make to measure, design specifically. So we did not jump on the issue without any background or without any preparation. We designed. We were slow. We took our time, and we made the opportunity happen. We made it, kind of. For example, the Americans. That, when I say the Americans, I mean the military members. They used to come to a supermarket in the airbase. The supermarket was adjacent to a religious masjid and its library. So we used to go to the entrance of the grocery store and say hello, and then I invite them over to the library. And in the library, we opened the floor for them to ask questions. We did not tell them anything. We just encouraged them to ask questions. We start with any starter, anything that opens the discussion, but not telling them per se, dawah as vivid and clear. No, we just open the floor for them to ask what is on their mind. And then what we do with their questions, and we answer some, and we ask questions, and then we gradually take them to the area where we want them without them posing to a resistance to it. You get my meaning?
No.
So when we met them at the masjid, at the grocery store, we invited for a couple for them. I invited them for a cup of coffee or tea, and they came, and then we started joking with them and welcoming them and showing friendly relation, friendly attitude, and they opened up. Because they were pleasingly surprised that we are not that rude or that savage or uncivilized. No, they were struck positively.
Barakallah fiqh, subhanallah. Just to, I've seen some questions where Halls from Speaker's Corners is giving greeting Jordan and asking, basically, brother, what we are doing, this is a podcast, and we are discussing about the Dawah initiative in every circumstances. As we know, we're going through a war right now where our brothers and sisters are going through loads of challenges. And us as Muslims, the objective of this discussion is in any circumstance, me, myself, you, the Sheikh, as a Muslim, we need to take this opportunity to educate others about the Islamic faith. And even if one looks at the Siratul Nabawiyah, the life of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who we take
Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barik.
as an example, we've seen him in circumstances of war giving da'wah to his captives. And some of them, by being exposed to the Islamic faith and the day-to-day lives of a Muslim who were actually captured and tied in the masjid's pillar in Masjid al-Nabawi, they ended up to embrace the Islamic faith due to the exposure of Islam. So if a Muslim has an opportunity to educate others about the Islamic faith, it's something that we should grasp with both hands and not miss this opportunity, and see this as an opportunity to convey the message of Islam. And we've seen throughout the war in Gaza where there is a lot of people who started to read the Quran on social media, and many of them are continuously embraced the Islamic faith. And therefore, I believe this is an important topic for the Muslim community to educate themselves, the importance of da'wah and the efforts that should be made by the Muslim community in any circumstances, especially us in the environment we find ourselves that we belong to take these opportunities and benefit from experienced people like Sheikh, our esteemed guest today, Dr. Muhammad Al-Akas, who is a veteran in the field of da'wah. And even I don't feel that I gave him his due rights in the introduction, because he's in Saudi and he has about 15 minutes or so with us. Therefore, I wanted to get as fast as possible into the topic and to benefit as much as possible, because the Sheikh's, the time for suhoor is very near to him and close to start. So that's why I went straight. But hopefully, at the end, I can discuss further. And without further ado, allow the Sheikh to share his experience. It's more from a historical perspective than anything else. We're not talking about politics or anything else. We're just benefiting from those who've been around longer than us in the field of da'wah, and to benefit while we blessed to have their presence. So upon us is to learn from their elders and their wisdom, and to take lessons from the history, and so that we can, inshallah, work in a more efficient way in the present and the future as well. So Shaykhuna, I got another question for you. In terms of the Jaliyats, which are the Islamic Dawah centers, how did these occur? Because we know Dawah, by definition, when we speak about Dawah in a Muslim country, we look at Dawah, we never comes to our mind Christians and non-Muslims. We speak more from an educational perspective of educating the born Muslims to learn more about Islam and to follow Islam and so on and so forth. But how did these Dawah centers, the Jaliyat, started in the Mamlaka?
Okay. Let me, excuse me, but let me correct you. It's not born Muslim, it's raised Muslim. Everybody is born Muslim. All right? But going back to the people who were tied in the masjid, they were not learning Islamic faith. They were not, watching the Muslim conduct, their kindness, their quality of character, their respect for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They were not learning hadith, they were not learning Quran, those captives that you referred to. Nowadays, some of our brothers, they approach dawah from the going to attack and destroy the people in front of them. That's not the idea. You want to go there to win hearts, not to destroy people. You are a doctor, and these people need help, your help. And your touch, your kind word, your smile will have a much greater impact than you in frustrating them and embarrassing them in front of the others. If you want to frustrate them, be calm. Let them shout, let them bark if you want. No, it's not. Don't take, if they bark, don't bark back. Just smile and and more than telling statements, ask questions. And a question leads to another question, and a third one, and a fourth, until the person in front of you state what you want him or her to eventually believe or understand. This way you reduce the confrontation. You know, when you go to the speaker corner, it's more of confrontation. That's not, to me, that's not dawah. There are people who walk in and say, well, they are impressed by you if they are Muslim. And there are people who are finding you to be harsh, and they walk away with the wrong impression. And there are people who may think that you were losing anyway. You lost in front of, I don't know what his name is. That's not what you want. You want people, as many people as possible, to walk away from you impressed by your character. Be interested in you and in your message, and then they maybe come back and ask you specific questions, and you answer them. That's my comment on dawah. You know, as we do it in anywhere in the world. Now we'll go back to your question about how the Jaliyat started. The Jaliyat started in Arabia, in here, no more than 2 kilometers away from my house. And it started by us every Thursday after Salat al-Isha. We open an open session. And the brothers would take their cars and go to the marketplace and bring as many Filipinos, for example, as possible. And we ask, they come to the masjid, we sit down with them, we answer their questions, not telling them, answer their questions. And then after 1 hour and a half of discussion, we offer them a meal, and then they go away. Through this effort, something like 132 people embraced Islam. And the news went spread in the Gulf that this is what is happening. So people from Bahrain, from Qatar, from the Emirates started coming to the Dammam asking us how we are doing it. And we told them what we were doing. But no confrontation, no fight, accommodation, listening to the others, hearing them out. People are not interested in listening to you in as much as wanting to say what is on their mind. When you speak all the time, like I am doing sadly now, people may have questions in their mind that keep them busy, not listening to you. They are listening to trying to find the answer. Remember that you are in anyone who gives a talk anywhere about any subject, he is in the wrong place. He is on the defense. So try not to increase the chance for yourself to be seen as in the wrong defense. Am I saying it clear, brother?
No. I just wanted you to clarify your context, because I know exactly what you're talking about, but maybe our audience didn't get the context in which you are explaining. So if you don't mind,
ask me question.
No, if you don't mind. So a common, for example, I lived in the Mamlaka. I studied in the Mamlaka, And sometimes we came across people who do not understand our reality, and they might impose a perspective and an experience that they are familiar with, not out of a wrong or bad intention, but they might tell us, impose on us something. I'm talking about individuals, not systems,
Yeah, yeah,
educational
yeah.
systems. Some individuals who are less educated, they're more emotional kind of people, and this is the common idea we have when it comes to the Middle East giving dawah to the West. But now
But we do it.
we
We do it in the West ourselves to the West. I'm talking. What I raised a moment ago is forgetting about what happens in Saudi Arabia. I have seen it in the Hyde Park, speaker
no,
corner.
I agree, Sheikh. What I'm trying to bring is a context to show how we can benefit better from what you're telling us. I personally attended a course delivered by you called The Art of Da'wah. And that course contained many elements that, if one would implement in Dawah, it could improve immensely his communication skills, his interactions, and even bring this spark interest in the non-Muslim towards Islam. So what I'm trying to say, I would like to understand, from where did you get this insight and wisdom on interacting with people from a different continent, trying to bring them closer, which is not popular or common. From where did you get this wisdom on how to give dawah to people like the American troops back in the 90s, early 90s?
By having the courage to make mistakes, and by having the courage to accept that correction, and by having the interest in observing what the impact what I say or the others say onto other people,
This is
and
called
by
compassion.
yes, and by deciding that the idea is not for me to win in as much as for my audience to win.
Could you repeat that again?
Shafi, I said from the approach, from the vantage point of not me trying to win in as much as my audience to win. I want my audience to win, not me to win.
Could you explain how do the audience win?
If I can help them get guidance, they won. If I destroy them and they get no guidance, then I lost and they lost.
So how can you not give them guidance? Could you
By
give?
by by agitating them. If I agitate them and they become on the defense, I give them no guidance.
Some might argue, but you're calling to the haqq. How? Why do you have to apologize for the haqq?
I am not. See, this is the point. This is the word I did not use. I am not saying apologize. Let's take Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as an example. When Al-Walid ibn al-Mughira came to discuss with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was listening all the time. And then he asked him at the end, "Are you finished?" He said, "Yes." Okay, listen to me now. But he allowed him to empty all what is on his mind. He was not, aggressive. He did not, and this is the one major kafir, and this is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not any person. Nonetheless, he allowed him to say all what is on his mind. And then after, he said, "Listen to me." And then he started reciting Quran. Of course, at that time, Quran would be more effective because the audience is an Arab who understand Arabic, who understand the quality of the Quran. So he recited some ayahs, and then until the man put his hand on the mouth of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, saying, enough, enough, enough. He could not take it anymore. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not reprimand him, did not speak down to him. He respected him completely. And he gave him the full floor. Rasulullah was not interested to show him how much muscles he has. So when you listen to your audience, you know where they are coming from. When you ask them questions, you know how they are thinking. You keep them engaged. But when you keep telling them stories, or your browse of lengthy talk, you may lose them. They are there by bodily, but not mentally. Am I saying? Is this what I am saying clear?
No. No.
So we should not go to Dawah to destroy people. This approach of frustrating people, belittling people for conquering, and that's not the idea. The idea is we are doctors, and these people are very ill. They need help. They need kindness. فبما رحمة من ربك لنت لهم ولو كنت فظا غليظ القلب لانفضوا من حولك. بما رحمة من ربك لنت لهم. Be لين, be soft, be easy. That is, if you are a rahmah, you are a da'iyah, you are supposed to be rahmah, not a sword or a rifle.
No.
Now, how do you, if you train yourself to listen more, to ask more, to observe more, you will attain those skills. Don't make assumptions. Do not make assumptions. Make conclusions. The difference assumption is you can make assumptions without asking. I see you're black, for example, and I say this is an African. That's it. Stop. But I never knew that you are Portuguese. If I ask, I will discover that you are Portuguese, not African. Maybe with a African background, but you are Portuguese. So if I just from the looks make a conclusion, that's bad. Or it's actually an assumption. But if I ask, where are you from, brother? I am I was born in Portugal. Okay. Oh, you are from, but you are here now in Birmingham. Yeah, I am now living, I have British citizenship. I see. Now I can build on this two pieces of information, other things. No more should I ask you about if you are from Tanzania or from Nigeria or any of these assumptions, because there is no place for it anymore. So ask questions and take the answers and build on them, and ask another question and a third one, and on and on and on until you make the audience pronounce what you want them to, what you wanted to tell them initially. Guide them. Keep the steering wheel in your hand.
So, Sheikh, in other words, these qualities which you are describing are obtained through patience.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. It's a discipline, not only patience. It is a discipline. You know, we are normally, our tongues are itching when you speak. I don't listen to you, and I want to tell you what is on my mind. I am not interested in you, but actually the more important person is the audience, not the speaker.
No. This is some might describe this as a lost art or lost skill that the arts have missed in this day and age with these patients with the one they are calling to the mad'u, you know, and understanding of the mad'u, the needs of the mad'u. Basically, the mad'u is the one that the call is being made towards. So,
Yes, the
subhanallah.
audience.
No, no,
Yes.
subhanallah. So, it's quite impressive. Where can we get your Dawah course or material on your efforts in Dawah? Because one has the whole purpose of inviting you yourself, and being on times of trials and tribulation where the Muslims are facing many challenges, especially in this day and age. I recall I had a conversation. I was in the company of an American and a non-American, and both studied. They are learned individuals who are involved in the da'wah. The non-American told the American, "I would never go to your country." And in my mind, I thought to myself, actually, if you really want to change the current situation, I believe you should give dawah to the people so that they can change their behavior and become closer to what you desire instead of being away, hating. And I'm not saying, by the way, by saying hating, I don't mean in the sense of loving the kuffar or anything of this nature. What I'm trying to say as a problem solver, an individual who wants good for his community and people, sometimes the educating people and calling them to Islam might be the most efficient way instead of keeping distance from them.
Let's change an attitude just one for 1 minute. Let's not hate kuffar, let's hate kufr. Let's not hate kuffar, let us hate kufr. I do not hate the individual, even if he is kafir. I hate his kufr. Now, if I can remove that kufr, he becomes my brother. He becomes so dear to me, doesn't he or she? If I remove the kufr, we don't have, we do not, we do not hate individuals. We are not against people. We love people. الناس عيال الله. الناس, not al-Muslimun. الناس, people, are the dependents of Allah. And the best of you are the best to his dependents. الناس عيال الله. This attitude of hating the kuffar, we don't hate kuffar. We hate their kufr. And if we hate their kufr, our job is to heal them from that. By kindness, by understanding, by listening, by observing, by willing, being, Ra'uf, Rahim, having mercy and having compassion. Do I make my point?
No, I think these are fundamental points, especially for those who are planning to engage in the dawah and being inspired by videos they watch online or personalities they like that are very active or famous. One should pay attention to these points and not to commit common mistakes. But Sheikh, by the way, I believe that these, what you just described, is something one would have automatically when, if you are part of a qawm. For example, my family is I would say 95% of my family are non-Muslims. So naturally, I have love for my family, but I hate what they are upon. So the context here, what I'm trying to elaborate is when the people, the qawm, takes the responsibility to give da'wah to his qawm, that level of hatred doesn't exist normally. And this level of hatred, I believe, came as a consequence of former colonial colonized countries who have, like myself, I'm a black Portuguese. So because of my ancestors who went through slavery, oppression, and exploitation by the Portuguese, should I hate the Portuguese? So that
No,
concept, I know, but the context I'm trying to highlight is usually those who have that hatred are those who were the victims, which is a natural feeling, but is incorrect. Is not in the place of a da'i to have hatred to the person instead of hatred to that which is practiced or believed by the person.
you know, when you grow higher than your when you become a true Muslim and you are at the top, you have shafaqah. You understand shafaqah? Sympathy for those who Portuguese who colonized you. You don't feel hate. You feel sympathy. Why? Because they are wrong. They are now. You discover when you become a Muslim, you discover that they are little, although they were the oppressor. They were not high. You see, if you adapt Islam properly, you will change your vantage point. How was Bilal seen? Sayyidina Bilal,
Now,
radiallahu anh. Who saw him as Sayyid, as a master? The arrogant, proud Arabs. They started saying Sayyidina Bilal. So Bilal was not looking at himself as an ex-slave. He was looking at himself as one of the early Muslims who persevered and withstood the pressure and still kept saying Ahadun Ahad, even as he was tortured. So he was a great man. Not black, not brown, not white. He was a great man, regardless of what his color was. So when you start looking at the Portuguese, the oppressors, as less than you, because now you are a Muslim, you are closer to Allah, and that you feel sorry for them, not angry at them.
no.
So what the problem sometimes, because I am Muslim, I look down at people in a sense that they are nothing. No, they are there. They need help. They are in hell. They are in a bit of fire. So I need to help them out if I am a good man, if I am a good person, man or woman. We need to
No.
change our attitude. It takes time. It takes training. It takes so many things. But if we work on ourselves, that's why the art of Dawah is you work on yourself more than you work on the others. You may repel people by your conduct, although you are carrying the truth. Or you may attract people, even if you don't have the truth, but your approach is good. You agree?
No.
If you agree, I am 10 minutes past time.
May Allah bless you and thank you for your
We need to do that more often.
Inshallah. Thank you for your generosity of giving us some of your precious time in this blessed hour. Please remember us in this blessed hour as
I
well.
am at your service and the brothers and sisters service anytime, all the time.
May Allah reward you and abundantly and bless you abundantly and make you as a means of conveying our deen and for us to learn from you as well. Barakallah fiqh, Shaykhuna.
I need to learn from you too, all of you, all the audience that are with you now. There are lessons for me to learn from them.
No, Jazakallah khairan.
Amen.
Remember us in your du'as and our brothers and sisters from all parts of the world who are struggling, who have less than us, who are going through challenges and trials and tribulation.
Let me just finish by reminding everyone that what's her name, Megan, the African American who called his who started an initiative in what do you call it, TikTok initiative, read Quran, and that has done wonders amongst people. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, we're very blessed to have Sheikh Dr. Muhammad Al Akas, and we're very thankful for his time. Sheikh Muhammad Al Akas is a unique individual, not known by many, and there is so much that can be learned and benefited from his vast experience in the field of Dawah. The Sheikh has a very interesting program called The Art of Dawah. I attended myself, where he goes through a step-by-step approach on Dawah, characteristics of a da'i, differences between a da'i and a salesman. He really goes deeply on the concept of dawah that many of us are engaged in from a very scientific study and research base, which is quite important and beneficial. I personally benefited a lot from him, and hopefully we hope that we can somehow very soon bring some links for others to benefit from his um, efforts and achievements as well. So very briefly, just to remind the audience who Sheikh Mohammed Al Akas is. Sheikh Mohammed, he has a background on electrical engineering, computer science, and business management. He worked in major uh, uh, um, corporates around the world, IBM as a, in the States, American company, in Aramco, and he had various positions in those companies, and then as well in his Dawah efforts and work, where he was, as I mentioned, the founder and director of the Islamic Cultural Center in Dammam. As well, he designed and directed and was instrumental in the Saudi Arab Cultural Awareness program for the American Armed Forces during the Gulf War, which resulted in 7,500 of them embracing Islam. Whoever has the level of consciousness and would appreciate people like Sheikh Mohammed, who dedicated their life in the service of the Deen. Just to highlight, I believe there was someone commenting earlier, bringing political statements. Well, we're not here to talk about politics, and we're just sharing some of the Sheikh's experience in the field of Dawah, and from a historical perspective, and taking lessons from their mistakes and successful adventures as well, where they succeeded in many areas. There might be things we practice in this day and age, like myself, where during the World Cup, me and many other brothers, we were engaged in doing mosque tours and educating people about the Islamic culture, and through the mosque tours, we shown the symbols of the masajids and so on in a very professional and indirect and passive way, which had amazing impact. Until now, I'm still in touch with many of the people I met in the mosque tours. We made wonderful friendships. They very close to Islam, from hating Islam, some of them. Now they are at a level where they defend the Muslims, even though they might not have embraced Islamic faith. They now see Islam as a religion of peace, Muslims as good people, human beings, and not a bunch of radical or violent or irrational individuals who believe in something that doesn't make sense, a primitive religion. So just this exposure is of great benefit for the Muslims and non-Muslims. How can it be for the Muslims? For example, for us who live in the West, I give an example. One of the individuals I have met during the World Cup is a close friend of the president, Lula da Silva, the Brazilian president, who we have witnessed recently um, defending and denouncing the wrongdoings of, the prime minister of Israel, where he was denouncing the killing of innocent kids and women who haven't got nothing to do with the war, who are victims themselves. And he was talking something positive and for the interests of the Muslim Ummah and the lives of Muslims. So, how can I not appreciate someone to do that about my brothers and sisters in faith? Someone in authority who holds a position that can have a positive impact in their lives. So for me as a Muslim, I should be grateful. So if I had the chance and the opportunity to or play the role in educating the non-Muslims to have sympathy and humanize the Muslims, that is success in Dawah. In other words, usually when we break down Dawah, we have the perception that Dawah, a success in Dawah is for someone to become a Muslim. And that is not always the case. Success also includes, if I would if I would categorize the non-Muslims into three categories. One, someone like who hates Muslims, okay, from a far right background. A second one, someone who is neutral. He neither loves or hates Muslims. And someone who is close to Islam. So, what I consider success, for example, with the individual who hates Islam, is to make him neutral towards Islam. Okay? If someone comes from a hatred background and looks at Muslims as, just normal people, that is success on its own. Okay, that is seen as success. Okay, and if someone who is neutral to Islam and then he starts to sympathize towards the Muslims, starts to defend the Muslims without embracing the Islamic faith, that is also success. Okay, and then the person who sympathizes, defends the Muslims, and is very close towards the Muslims and the Islamic cause, and they embrace the Islamic faith, that is success. So one shouldn't generalize the non-Muslims, say they're all equal, but he should look at them on an individual basis and never belittle the opportunity you might have to talk to a non-Muslim, to leave him with a positive impression about your faith and yourself as a representative of your religion. Never overlook the goodness that might come from a polite discussion, a kind gesture, and towards a non-Muslim, because you don't know where that's gonna lead. Mashallah, my dear brother John just said, what's the name of the handsome Sheikh? Is your friend Sheikh Muhammad Dr. Al-Akas, which you know very well, John, mashallah. Hope you're doing well. John is an old companion who I don't know if I can say he gave up the battle and he ran away from us. But I hope you can join us soon. Let me see if John. Let me share the link with you, John, and you can always jump in and a second and share with us. Share your comments and contribution. John is a da'i from the UK, currently lives in Turkey. He made hijrah to Turkey, and alhamdulillah, he's active in Dawah as well. We hope that Brother John could join us and also share some of his experience. Actually, John, he was with me in Qatar as well, and many other brothers. And alhamdulillah, we benefited immensely from the opportunity of conveying Islam, the message of Islam, sharing Islam, educating people about the Islamic faith. Is if I can say that's the biggest blessing we have as Muslims, is the blessing of being a Muslim. Allah Azza wa Jal blessed us with many blessings, but the blessing of Islam, we cannot equalize it with any other blessing. You know, it's a blessing directly from our Creator that was gifted to us by our Creator. We've been chosen to be Muslims by our creator, and not something we have achieved through our efforts or intellect or something good in us, but is a gift from Allah Azza wa Jal. And no other than Allah is to be praised and glorified for the blessing of being a Muslim and being present in these circles and efforts. Therefore, we are in continuous gratitude towards Allah Azza wa Jal. Brothers and sisters, without further ado, I'm going to end this podcast on transformative times, war, Islam, and Dawah dynamics. I hope to see you guys next Wednesday, 11 p.m. UK time. And please don't forget to donate generously towards the important efforts made by IDCI. And you can support this incredible cause by donating to supportidci.com. And please don't hesitate to donate and contribute, no matter how small, makes a huge impact in the Dawah effort. Dawah is a field that has been abandoned and belittled, overlooked by many Muslims, but you shouldn't. And inshallah, next week I will share a very important experience I had, but I will just give an introduction to what is to come in next week, inshallah. So basically, I was contacted by a very dear friend and colleague of mine, Dr. Uthman from Mali. His father was a graduate from Medina University and once was sent to Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, as a da'i, as a sheikh by Wizarat al-Awqaf, the Islamic Ministry and Religious Affairs. And he was born in Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, and we all know that this year we had the African Cup in Cote d'Ivoire. And Dr. Uthman told me and requested me to why we don't go to his country and join him in the efforts of giving dawah to the hundreds and thousands of guests who are attending the African Nation Cup. And I spoke to a friend, very dear friend. I wouldn't call him a friend. Actually, let me correct that. I spoke to someone who was in charge in the Qatar World Cup, and I informed him of the opportunity that has arrived for us to go now and We had an excellent, wonderful outcome and experience in the World Cup. Let's now take this other opportunity and educate and give people da'wah to Islam. And that individual didn't believe in its importance. And I can't assume what was going through his head, but basically the outcome was that not much was done regarding this event, the African nation cup. So the time passed, and halas, we didn't go, nor did I even have a chance to go there. But one thing we have seen now with the South Africa genocide case against Israel, South Africa is not an European, Asian, or a Middle Eastern nation, but in fact is a African nation, and they don't have a lot to share with us as in the Islamic faith. We don't have much in common. But again, what I'm trying to highlight, never belittle the da'wah, because you don't know from where the victory of Allah might come from. You never know. You might think this is not important, this person cannot do much, this person is this person is that, but you don't know what that person might do for Islam. And if Allah opens his heart to accept the truth of Islam and bring through him goodness, and through his courage, he's going to defend the honor and the life of Muslims, that's a victory for all of us. Without discriminating his nationality, discriminating his race, discriminating his, geographic location, his wealth. You don't know. The bravery and love for Islam, or love for justice and the truth, can come from where you may less expect. So it's important to bear in mind that these things are quite important. And us as Muslims, when it comes to every single opportunity that might arise to give dawah and call others to Islam, and having the opportunity to call people to the Islamic faith, wallahi, don't miss it. Whoever you think you are, or at whatever position you might find yourself at this particular moment, never overlook or belittle the fact that so much can be achieved and done by Muslims like yourself. So be mindful, my dear brothers and sisters, and don't miss the opportunity of donating to this noble cause, which, mashallah, the brothers at IDCI are every year holding to, doing actively. Don't miss out. Wallahi, you never know. This might be the cause of guidance of someone who comes from a different background, who might, gain love and sympathy towards Islam. And maybe the victory that we constantly cry for might be coming from these efforts and good deeds you made. So never overlook or look down or think of a small effort in the way of Allah Azza wa Jal as little, because you don't know the outcome of it, and only Allah knows, what is in the hearts of the individuals that you're calling to, and they might be of great benefit and honor to the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. So without further ado, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. See you guys next week.